Hi everyone, this is Ryan Edel, your instructor for English 145, and since this is an online course, I'll be using a fair number of videos to hopefully smooth things out a bit and show where everything's at, particularly since we will have a fair number of different places where you're posting assignments and having discussions with each other. So this first video is really to talk about how to navigate the syllabus, where to find different resources, where to find the readings, where to go for assignment instructions. So let's get started. You'll notice over here at the top we have the weeks listed. So for each week there will be a one specific page in the on the website, and this is just in Google Drive. It's kind of like a PowerPoint. Now if you go over here on the right hand side, you'll notice that we have three big links here. We've got the ReggieNet, which is where most of the assignments and discussions are going to be posted to. And then over here we have the course components. These are basically your assignments, your projects, different descriptions of kind of the day-to-day stuff that we'll be doing. Now the most important of these links though is the course outline down here with the little guy climbing up the hill. And this is where you will go to see where the different weeks are. It gives an overview of the course and the three projects, and it's a little bit easier to navigate in case you get lost. And the other thing too is that you'll find this link on the lower right hand corner of every page of the site. So if you ever get lost, just click on that link and you can go where you need to go. Alright, now because this is basically like a PowerPoint slide, if you click on the page, it will automatically advance to the next slide. And you'll notice that I have a nice little page here talking about navigating the syllabus. Now the syllabus, I've created it as a reference. My intention is that you will come back to the syllabus frequently. I don't expect you to read through the entire thing today. It's about 50 pages. Instead, you'll be coming back throughout the course to see different parts. So refer to the instructions as it comes up. And if we click again, we'll go on to the next page, which talks a bit about the goals of the course. Now, unlike traditional writing courses, we aren't going to be focusing on, say, one major way to write. Instead, what we're going to be talking about is looking at different genres of writing for each discipline. Now, all of you are going into very specific majors, very specific disciplines. You have certain jobs that you're planning on going into, and each of you will face very individual types of writing. No two students will ever face the exact same styles of writing. Two students taking the same course with different professors will find that very different expectations. And so how we address this is that we're going to use writing research within this course as a way to help each of you understand the different genre conventions and the expectations of the audiences that you will be writing for. Not just for, say, this English 145 course, but for all the courses you continue taking here at ISU and as you move on into the world. Now, this is a little bit different from content research, which is the type of research you're probably more accustomed to. In content research, you're looking at facts, you're looking at details, and you're essentially reporting those back. You may be analyzing how the different types of facts fit together, but the main point of content research is to describe how the world works or how the world looks. The main point of writing research, on the other hand, is to examine how do people write about the world that we see? How do people describe that world? And how do they change their writing depending upon which audiences they're speaking for, depending upon which motivations they have? And as we go through the course, you'll find that you already do writing research all the time. If you have posted to social media, and you have tried to get your friends to like a post, that is writing research. If you send a text and you think about which emoticons you can use, that's writing research. If you see, say, a text from someone who spells out everything with perfect grammar and very long sentences, and the thing is, this text is so big it doesn't fit on your screen, that's a failure of writing research. The person has not met the genre of the text message. And so we're going to be looking a fair amount at the differences between writing research and content research. Now, along with this, a big focus of the course is looking at different types of activities we ourselves will use in order to write effectively. You will be doing a fair amount of research for the course, and so you'll be outlining and organizing your materials. So taking that writing research and that content research and figuring out how to make it coherent for the audiences you're going to be writing for. With that, we're going to be doing drafting and revisions. My goal is to make it impossible for someone to do this all the night before. I want to help you guys see how it feels to do a project over the course of several weeks using all the steps. Reading your sources, writing down the quotes you want to use, organizing those quotes into a coherent framework, writing your paper from your outline, and then actually revising it to make it better than it was originally. Now, it wouldn't be a class if we didn't have some course policies. I'm just going to go over this page real quick, but there's a far more detailed version that you can go to up here if you like. So if you click there, it will take you to a new version. Now, overall, though, the course policies are fairly straightforward. Be kind, courteous, and respectful to each other. And I will do my best to be kind and courteous and respectful as well. This is a two-way street. For me, it's most important, though, that you respect each other. If someone says something that might hurt my feelings, I'm not so concerned because I'm not being graded. But if someone starts saying something that causes other students to not feel comfortable, then that really affects the writing that people are able to do. If you don't feel comfortable, it's much harder to write about what you're actually thinking and to get all your thoughts out on the page. Now, somewhat related to this is that you do need to be present. Even though this is an online course, this course is centered around discussions. It's centered around collaboration, working together, getting an idea of how your classmates see the material. So even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are meeting online. So with the discussions, please post by the deadlines. Typically speaking, the deadlines for discussion posts will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you miss those deadlines, then your classmates won't have opportunity to respond back to you because many of the discussions, the grading is based on not just what you say, but how you respond to your classmates. Are you continuing a conversation, or are you just talking to an empty computer screen? Now, because this is a writing course, there is, of course, the concern of plagiarism. And part of English 145, part of a goal for this course is actually help you better understand what plagiarism is, why it happens sometimes, and how you personally can avoid it. So, to give the basic version, plagiarism occurs if you present someone else's work as your own. Now, we all understand that. It can also occur if you take your own work from another course and then you submit it for credit for English 145. So, for example, if you did a project for English 101 that you're very, very proud of, and then you submit it for 145 without telling me that that's what you're doing, that's actually plagiarism. It's, you can think of it as a double dipping, basically. That said, there is a bit of a gray zone. If you want to do successful research, you do need to quote some outside sources. if you want to improve as a writer, you do need to revisit some of your past work. So what I'm looking for you to do is to be able to find outside sources, credit them with the quotes and information that you found from them, look back at your previous work, and if it is something appropriate for the course, go ahead and revise it for English 145. But the big thing I want to emphasize is, if you're ever unclear on this, please let me know. I am very happy to clarify. I will never take off points for asking questions. But what does concern me is if someone turns in something that is in the gray zone, and I begin to suspect that they may have simply taken the easy way out. If you're at all concerned that what you're doing doesn't feel right or might not be right, just go ahead and ask. Because this is the type of question that many students have, and is often not really addressed well enough in classes you'll take. Which brings us to asking questions. Because this is an online course, it's a little bit, I actually have set up some guidelines for which questions to ask where. This is not to discourage questions. Any question you have, feel free to send me an email. But there are certain types of questions that it's helpful not only for me to see that question, but also for your classmates. I do want you to see your classmates as a resource. So each week in ReggieNet, we're going to have discussions, and there is a questions topic posted for each week. The vast majority of questions you have should go there. If you have a question about an assignment, if you have a question about your own work, even if you have a question about plagiarism, please post that there. Chances are that you will have classmates who may have good answers for you. There may also be classmates who share that question or maybe had not even thought to ask it. This said, if you do see that someone has posted a question that you may have the same question or you have an answer to it, please feel free to post a response. Especially if you also have that question. If I see that there are 4 or 5 students asking the same question, then that lets me know that I need to either update the syllabus or possibly provide some better details on the assignments. Now, there are certain types of questions that are not appropriate for everyone to see. So, for example, if something comes up, say extenuating circumstances, a funeral or illness, and you're going to be missing a discussion post, please send me an email to let me know. As is pointed out, the discussions are required, and so if you know in advance that you're going to be missing one, that you can't meet that deadline, please let me know so that I can let you know the makeup work for that. Now, when it comes to grade questions, I actually cannot email you a letter grade or a number grade because email is not considered secure enough. So all of your grades will be posted to the gradebook in ReggieNet. But I can certainly offer feedback and explanation for any of the grades that are posted in the gradebook. So if you have any questions about your grades, first check the gradebook, see what the number is, what letter grade you have, and then email me, and I'll be happy to explain why you received the grade you did. Now, in the event that you happen to notice a mistake in the grading, definitely let me know. I like to, I am human. I do occasionally type in the wrong number, and so I will fix that right away. If you notice that the grade I gave you is higher than the grade you think you should have gotten, you probably don't want to email me, but just a word to the wise. Alright, now this is a summer course, so it is a little bit different from the expectations of a regular semester course. And I want to bring up some of those differences. Fall and spring, if you're taking a 3-credit-hour course over 16 weeks, you'd be meeting 3 hours a week. And according to the university policy, you'd have about 6 hours of homework, which comes to a total of 9 hours a week. Now, I know for myself as an undergrad, I rarely spent 9 hours per week on every course. Right? There were some weeks I would focus a lot more attention on a course, Other weeks, I would ease up a bit. Now, unfortunately for us, because it is a summer course, we only have 8 weeks. There's a much higher time constraint. So instead of the 3 hours a week for a normal course during the semester, the expectation is that we would be meeting for 6 hours a week. So in general, you can plan on spending about 6 hours a week in the discussion forums, watching videos for lectures, such as this video. In addition, university policy would expect that you have about 12 hours of homework a week, which, I don't expect folks to really go quite to that degree. But in general, you should expect that you'll have about 6 hours a week of typing and interacting with your classmates in the discussions, working on doing the readings, spending about 12 to 18 hours per week total on the online course. Now, in case you're wondering where these numbers come from, I have posted a little quote here from University Policy with a link to the full policy. I find it's helpful to remind folks of this before the start of an online course, because there is a stereotype that online courses are easier than a regular course, and to a certain degree they're actually harder, because you have to put in the same number of hours, and some of those hours are working with the technology. If the internet goes down, it's kind of like if your classroom is flooded from a bathroom sink or something. You still have to get there, but you have to work around it. So, because it is an online course, there are slightly different expectations for the instructors and for the students. Now, some expectations that I need to follow through on are to provide much better links to lectures and readings and assignments. In a normal course that I would teach, if, say, I had a broken link on the website, I could probably explain that in class. But that won't really work since we don't have a classroom. So if you do see any links or any readings or any questions like that you're not certain on, please email me right away, because I do need to keep those up to date. I will also be providing good places to submit assignments. The vast majority of what we do for the course will be on ReggieNet. You'll be posting quizzes there, discussion posts, and also many of the free writing assignments. The exception to this is that a portion of the research for Project 1 and some options for Project 2, those will be done either via Tumblr or WordPress or Prezi, or the social media of your choice. But we'll have more details as we get closer to that. Now, a big responsibility I have as an instructor is to provide you with a space to interact with your classmates. So provide these spaces for collaboration. And I need to be easily reached by email. So if at any time you need to reach me, please feel free to email. I might not respond within an hour, but I will certainly respond that same day, probably within 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And for myself, I'm basically being paid to do 20 hours a week for English 145. So you can count on me being around and actively working on grading and reading through the discussions and posting grades for at least 20 hours a week. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I will be grading everything with rapid turnaround, but I will do my best to get things back to you quickly. But my main focus will be on responding to emails and keeping up with the discussion posts, because I do want us to have real-time conversations, and that will help everyone get to know each other better. Now, with that, as students, there are also some heightened expectations for you in taking an online course. The biggest part: reading, watching, listening to the assigned course materials. I don't necessarily expect that you'll be closely reading every line of text, especially some of the scholarly articles, some of the Kindle books we will be reading. They're not necessarily the easiest reads, but you will need to get through all of them, at the very least doing some good skimming. And if nothing else, we will have a good number of quizzes. So if you're not reading closely enough, the quizzes will let you know. I am looking that you are submitting assignments by the deadlines. Even though this is an online course, I will be grading as the course goes through. So if you hold off on all of your assignments and try to turn them all in at the end, I won't be able to provide you the feedback for you to become a better writer. So it would hurt your grade. More importantly, though, please share with your classmates. Share your time, your questions, your ideas, the feedback you have on their work. That is going to really make this class a class that hopefully you find worthwhile and memorable. So big thing, ask questions, both of me and your classmates, and really commit to spending about 12 to 18 hours per week on this course. I know that some folks are working over the summer, many folks are on vacation, but as I pointed out in the previous slide, this is a 3 credit hour course. It's a full credit course with a fairly compressed timeline. So if you're spending less than 10 hours a week on this course, you probably won't do as well as I would like you to do. Now, I'm going to wrap up real quick with a look at the course outline. We have 3 projects for the course, and we have 8 weeks. So what I've done is I've provided links to the main projects, and then these links here, these purple squares, these point out which portions of the projects are going to be due that week. So our first 3 weeks, we're really going to be looking at writing research. We're going to be looking at your research cards for Project 1. On week 4, we're going to be going into outlining for Project 1. And week 5, you're going to be getting into working on the paper. Not only writing the paper, but revising it and getting feedback from your classmates. I have to warn you, it's going to feel very rushed. During a typical semester, students would spend about 8 to 10 weeks on this first project, and we're going to be doing it in 5 weeks. So it will feel a bit rushed, but the assumption is that you are spending more hours per week on the course. Now, the week 6 and 7, we're going to be looking at Project 2, and for Project 2, you'll be creating a genre. So the writing research that you do for Project 1 will help you create the genre that you're doing for Project 2. And then week 8, we're going to be wrapping up the course by reflecting on what we've learned, reflecting on how your thoughts on writing have changed over the course of the semester, over the course of the summer. And then one last slide to look at before wrapping up. These are the course components. And this gives you a quick breakdown of the grading for the course. Quizzes will count for 20%. Assignments will count for 20%. And assignments include free writing, it includes discussion posts, it includes the kinds of everyday things that you're going to be doing every week. Now, over here, we have the project materials. The quote cards and outlines are from Project 1, but I've given them their own section in the grading because those are pretty important components of writing that even though they're a subset of Project 1, the assumption is that these habits will help you become a better writer. And then following up from those, this is where we come into our papers and genres. This is the Project 1 paper, which is a 12-page paper. This is project 2, which is you'll be creating an example of your genre and then a quick how-to guide, which would be, you can think of it as about 4 to 8 pages worth of work, but it won't necessarily be a paper like project 1. And then project 3 is, essentially a 3-page write-up describing what you've learned over the course of the summer. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this intro to the course. There will be several more videos yet to come, but please feel free to email me if you have any questions. You can reach me at rjedel@ilstu.edu. I will also be sending out an email to you with my phone number, so that if you need to, you can text me. In case there's an emergency or you just cannot get to email. So with that, it's good to talk with you, so to speak, and I look forward to seeing all of your posts in the discussion forums.